It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
You have no kids, but it's still loud.
Instantly, I was like, God damn it, Wesley. And I was like, do we have nobody here? Those fucking dogs are slamming around.
Yeah, that's funny. Right. Can't avoid it.
There is no escape from the thuds.
No. The thuds.
Hello, and welcome to Pod of the Dead. I am your host, Nicholas, and with me, as always, are the two final girls, Stephanie and Natasha.
Hello. Hello.
On today's episode, we are covering the 2022 sequel. I think this might be one of our first sequels, Pearl.
Sequel, prequel,
yeah,
Pearl.
Sequel,
I guess that's how to look at prequel. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tasha, before we really start getting into things, what is this movie about?
Pearl is a 2022 American psychological horror film directed by Ty West and co-written by Ty West and Mia Goth, who reprises her role as the title character, and featuring David Corenswet, Tandy Wright, and Matthew Sutherland, and Emma Jenkins Purro in supporting roles. A prequel to X, and the second installment in the X film series, it serves as an origin story for the title villain, whose fervent aspirations to become a movie star led her to committing violent acts on her family's Texas homestead in 1918.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
covers it pretty well.
What is your girl's history with this film?
I only know about it from the podcast.
Yeah, we knew it was coming after we saw X, and it was like, well, this is going to be a series of movies that are going to cover basically the same lady playing a different character multiple times, and which is Mia Goth's character. So I was like, oh, that's interesting to see. And so we're just covering that because I heard about it, and I was like, I'd be curious to see what that looks like. So
yeah, I remember obviously seeing X when it came out and everything. Steph and I watched it together. And then I know Pearl came out the same exact year, and I'm not sure why I didn't get around to watching it. But then, like, once I was like, I'm going to watch this, it was right around the time that this podcast started. And Steph was like, no, we can't watch it until we cover it. So literally, we are like 40 episodes plus in, and I've just been like, all right, I'm going to watch. It's been sitting over here, and we didn't even watch the Blu-ray copy. We watched it on like Amazon.
it was like, do we have to go downstairs and do all this stuff?
My God.
Let's just fucking watch it in the living room. So yeah.
Oh yeah, like so.
So much work.
It is. Feels like it.
And I've seen a lot of Ty West films, so like my history with Ty West is, X, Pearl, The Innkeepers, House of the Devil. Like, he's done a lot of stuff that I've liked and everything, and he's very period driven. His film, like this one, definitely. I mean, before I even did my research, I was like making Wizard of Oz references, because this film is fucking like Psycho meets the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I guess
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you were saying how like Ty West and Mia Goth wrote this, like she got like a writing credit on this and everything.
Yeah.
Because they collaborated on the script via FaceTime during the mandatory 2-week quarantine due to COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic in New Zealand prior to filming X. They had only hoped A24 would agree to make the film. Fortunately, the project was greenlit before filming began on X. So they were literally like that 2-week period to start filming X. They wrote this film, and we're just like, it would be really fucking dope if they give us the okay. And then like A24 is like, sure, because like Ty West was basically like, here's how we can crunch numbers. Here's how we can, like make it worth our while. That's why they shot them back to back. Like there was no time between them. Even so much that the lady that plays the mother character in Pearl, it was the what do they call them? I'll just say the sex coordinator. So basically in X, they would have somebody on set that would make everybody feel comfortable and just be like, you know, like this is going too far or whatever, you know, like there's a specific name. But she did that on X. And then Ty West was like, I think you would be great for the role of Pearl's mother. She like comes in and does that. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff, like intermingling of like, all right, we can just use this, we can do this, like crunch all this in.
Can you consider that, like, okay, so you go and you think that you're going to be like a sex coordinator, right, in a movie, and you're like, okay, so when they do this is like the new standard. I actually just learned about this by watching the Bridgerton stuff. I don't know if this was when the same standard was in New Zealand and all that. They have to have something covering the genitals of the woman.
They've always had that stuff.
Yeah, no, there's a new thing they added. So it has to be something covering the genitals of the woman. There's something that's covering the genitals of the man. And then they have a bump. Yes. And then they have to put a bumper between their bodies. So there's 3 layers of, like, to keep anything from happening
3
or
degrees
it being
of separation.
Basically, yes. And when I was watching this interview with them talking about doing it for Bridgerton, they were saying it was like a balloon type thing that they have to put there in order to keep, like, it's not just like a piece of cloth. It's like legitimately something that separates the genitals completely. So there's no like maybe oopsie touch kind of thing because they're trying to separate. Obviously, they're not making porn. We're just trying to make a movie that looks like they're having sex, but they're not actually having sex. So it was interesting. I thought it was fascinating.
Something that's really interesting, though, that just kind of comes up with that. It's like the whole idea of what is the difference between art and porn, right?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you are shooting porn. Because the idea is to simulate sex. You're just not showing it, like, to the degree of, like, full penetration and stuff like that. But, like, I understand, like, you know, like, not wanting to be viewed as a porn star or whatever. I'm a serious actor, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're literally, like, doing kind of the same thing at that point.
No, this is that debate, and then we're going to get into this because this is what I just opened up this fucking door, that we always have, where it's like, is it like romance and sex, or is it pornography or erotica? And it's all about the narrative. So like if you're doing it because it's for titillation for masturbatory reasons, or if you're doing it as a way of moving the plot forward and it's part of the plot devices, but if it was removed, the plot would still be intact.
Hey man,
that is
somebody ordering a pizza with extra sausage is not much different than, oh, Mr. Darcy, or whoever the named character is. It's all like, we've talked about this ad nauseum.
Oh yeah, literally all the time.
It's literally like
the X episode.
It's literally just like how I look at it is it's literally like the guy needs to see the action and stuff like that because that's how the male brain works, and then the female needs the emotional. So it's the end. They're finishing the same race from different roads.
But it's also, like I said, but the difference is like when you're making a movie and it has sex in it or a TV show, are you using it to be masturbatory versus pornography is meant to do that?
Jesus doesn't like it either way. Okay? Jesus does not like it, and this is sin.
Are you speaking on his behalf?
Yes, I was born on. I was born on December 25th. I think that gives me the God-given right. Anyway,
as the atheist. So,
well, I can't believe it myself. So, all right. So what do you guys think the budget was on this film? Yeah, you wanted me to stop talking about sex. You get the question now.
I wasn't ready.
Oh my gosh.
Budget was $3.7 million.
Right. I'm gonna go with $5.
You're really shooting low. You want to win that
$5, Bob.
Yeah, you want to win that refrigerator.
$5.55.
The budget was $1 million.
Oh shit, that's really good. Okay.
And this got a semi-wide release. It got like basically the same kind of release as X.
Okay.
So what do you think it ended up bringing in at the box office?
Oh, that's a hard one.
$3.75 million.
Was that the same that you said their budget was?
I think it was. Yeah. She's like, one of these has to be right.
Why should I make
doing lotteries?
Why should I just make up different numbers? I'm just going to ride the wave of 3.75.
That's right. Something's got
bound to hit one of these days.
Something's got to stick.
B plus.
Yeah. I'm going to go $15 on a $5 budget. $15 million.
I mean, they tripled their money, right? They might be able to buy a Blu-ray copy of this film.
Maybe.
And not watch it because it's too far away.
Yeah.
So the box office was $10.1 million. So it made a decent amount of money.
They did.
And I'm wondering how much of that is off of the back of X, because these both came out the same year, but also like, so 2022 is when like the world is like really opening up again and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can't think of too many things that double release in a year. I've never seen films do it.
They're doing it this year.
Yeah, well, I'm saying previously.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're
What are they doing it this year with?
That new Kevin Costner thing.
and those are
yeah, because they're filming those back.
well, basically how I read that is like that's one long film that they're like no one's going to sit here for 4.5, 5 hours. So because they're like releasing them like a month apart.
Yeah.
He's even said that in interviews. Like it's supposed to be, I think, a 4-part series.
ridiculous.
They should have just turned it into a TV series and not released it in the theater.
Spread that shit out.
I'm not interested in it.
I actually liked the idea of it. I don't know if I'm going to go see it in the theater, but I don't know.
If I've got nothing better to do, I mean, I'll go check it out. I mean, that's what I just did this last weekend, and it worked out in my favor.
It did work out.
And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. I don't want to give anything away, but so before we get into spoilers and shit like that, so you guys, you've seen X.
Yes.
And it was definitely like 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
This is like World War I.
Yep.
And definitely its own. I can't think of too many other horror films off the top of my head that that are set in that time. So like when I'm talking about like it's Psycho meets Wizard of Oz, like they went real hard with like the Technicolor and stuff in this.
Yes.
Which was on purpose because Ty West initially wanted to make this film in black and white.
Oh, okay. That kind of would have been cool.
And the production company A24 was basically like, you know, a lot of films doing that right now and everything. And, you know, you really want to make this different. So why don't you like try something else? And he was like, fucking hold my beer. We're going to go the opposite direction. We are going to make this as bright and vibrant as possible.
Which it was successful in, I think. So
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to pick up on that.
Yeah. Going back though, in comparison to X, right? So go back and listen to our episode on X. They have the same budget. They both were made for $1 million, and X.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so like $2 million budget for these two films together, right?
It's insane. Yeah, it's
awesome.
And I'm not going to give away the X's box office. You're going to have to go back and listen to that. But X did make more than Pearl.
That would make sense.
So
that makes sense.
And that's usually how that kind of stuff works, is because you know you're not going to gain necessarily. Sometimes wrong, but you're not necessarily going to gain 100% of your viewers for the sequel. So you know, people go watch the original ones. Others are going to come, or some are going to follow you to the second one. You're going to lose some, but no one's just going to jump into the second film necessarily, unless you didn't know that it was a prequel.
It's about, well, viewer retention is just lowered as time goes on. So that makes sense.
Yep. So, but yeah, the film being shot like in its bright colors and stuff, the team felt like the film was being made in the way that it would become its own thing, and that it would be different and unique and almost like dreamlike at times, because like how insanely vibrant all of it is. But let's see here. Okay. Yeah. So, horror. Well, I want to talk about stuff, but I don't want to ruin it. So trying to get all this out. So, all right. 2022 horror. Okay.
Okay.
We have covered quite a few films from this year.
I don't remember that. So sure.
we covered Talk to Me.
Okay. So that was 2022. Okay.
Barbarian.
Okay.
X.
Yeah, obviously.
Terrifier 2, which we have not covered. and we may one day get you all gloopy.
Okay.
Hey, if the listeners want it, email us at podofthedead666
They're
at
just going to email
gmail.com.
us just for this reason.
Well, hey, you want us to watch Terrifier 2? You want us to do all that? You gotta let us know. I've seen these. I would love to see the girls see these. So I'm not going to put them through this, but if you want to,
Maya's seen that.
Maya's
so I
watched
mean,
it.
she
really?
did. Yeah, she actually kind of liked it. It was weird.
Smile came out this year, which we will be covering, I believe, this summer.
Okay.
And then Nope came out this year. So,
okay.
That's a good year.
Pretty
really.
good year. But the box office, horror didn't really do the best when it comes to like the top box office films of the year.
Does it really ever, unless it's a Scream movie?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, realistically.
I mean, the Quiet Place, films, stuff like that. But the problem is like everything that comes out that gets the big box office stuff is just nothing but Universal, Warner Brothers, and Disney. So we get Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Okay.
Watergate Bridge.
Did
I've never even fucking heard of this film.
No, that's weird. Both of that's weird.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
That movie was
Your
trash.
favorite. Your
It's
favorite
fucking
never heard
film.
of it.
Horrible.
Love and Thunder.
It's bad.
It was horrible. The only thing that was good was the goats. Everything else was horrible.
The Batman.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was a great movie. Okay.
You haven't seen The
That was
Batman,
really good.
Tasha?
I have not seen the Batman.
It's actually really good.
The dude from
Is
Twilight?
that the one with James Patterson? Or
James Patterson.
Robert Pattinson.
The author,
Yeah.
James Patterson, starring
Yeah.
as Bruce
It's
Wayne.
Batman.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert
Yes.
Pattinson.
Yeah, if you haven't seen The Batman, it's basically like if there was it's like kind of like Seven meets.
It's a detective noir
yeah,
film.
it's really, I liked it. A little long, but it's all
It's
right.
different.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, another Steph classic.
I did not like that either.
Wyatt loves that one.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Minions, The Rise of Gru.
Oh my god, those movies.
Oh, we're gonna go see the new one.
I bet you are.
Whatever weekend that is.
Whenever I'm
Next
told.
weekend we have one.
Whenever I'm
Okay.
told that I have to go see it.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
I really liked that movie.
Which-
so
Is that the one with the zombies?
yeah.
That's Sam Raimi, Evil Dead fame. So I mean, we
Yeah.
got a horror director in there.
It is a horror like Marvel film, which is what I liked
Yeah.
about it. So
Jurassic World Dominion, possibly one of the
Garbage.
worst films
It
I've
was.
ever seen in theaters.
I agree.
Trying to
It
think.
was. I had so high expectations. That movie was such a
Yeah.
I
disappointment.
know there's another movie that I literally have been saying that about, and I can't remember because it's.
Tarot.
Oh yeah, Tarot
yeah.
was legitimately the worst film I've ever sat through in theaters.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick.
That was great.
That was all right.
We didn't see that in the
Still
theater,
haven't seen it.
but it was so good. I liked it better than the original. So
Wow.
And then we don't need to talk about the number one film. It's okay. We
What is
can
it?
just brush that one off. That film doesn't
no,
matter.
you can't.
No.
What is it? I can't ever remember the shit. So
Avatar. I'll
Was
say it for
oh,
you.
The Way of Water. Yes. Fuck yes.
You-
That movie is amazing.
Do you want to know?
Saw that in IMAX.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to know how
so beautiful.
staggeringly different the box office is between 1 and 2?
Oh, probably $1 billion.
Yes.
$1 billion.
So Top Gun Maverick, which was in theaters for fucking ever,
That's true.
And was huge.
made $1.4 billion.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
The Way of Water made 2.3.
I knew it.
I can't even fathom that amount.
I can't
I
even
know.
fathom $5 because, like, I mean, I guess that's what this movie was made for, right? Like,
Oh my god. Yeah, that's true.
so
Wow, that's awesome.
Does that factor in? I have a question. Does that factor in since you can see The Way of Water in IMAX? You can see it in 3D, so ticket prices are more
yeah,
expensive.
it's just how
Probably.
much money it made.
Yep.
Worldwide.
So it's not necessarily how many tickets were sold. It's just how much those tickets cost.
because there's a whole like debate thing about that and stuff of like what movies are actually the most popular in theaters and stuff because of
Right.
inflation.
yeah, because like if you take into account how
Yeah.
many tickets that like Titanic and Gone with the Wind and stuff like that have sold, like they're way up in there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like nowadays, yeah, ticket prices ranging where they do and stuff, depending on where you're from, it's not out of the realm. Like, billions of dollars for a film is just obscene. Like, that's I'm not going to get into like my moral stampede of like why that's disgusting, but all right. So if this is your first time listening to us, welcome. This is a horror film club. So what we do is every episode, at the very end of the episode, we give out homework for next week. If you've already seen Pearl, stick around. We're going to talk about it, talk about what we love about it, hate about it, you know, all those things.
Spoil all of it.
I heard that Natasha stayed awake for us, so that's great.
Yep.
But if you don't care about spoilers, stick around. At the end of the episode, we do give out the homework for next week, so you can watch it for the next episode. We also usually give out some, like, we champion a few things that sometimes are horror related, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're tentacle porn, sometimes they're metal bands, sometimes they're James Patterson novels or James Patterson led films.
Or movies.
But if you're ready, let's talk about the Technicolor world of Pearl.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
With that, I need to hear the 1 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was prepped and ready, man.
I know.
I gotta keep you on your toes.
Okay.
I gotta keep you on all 11 of your toes.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here what this person had to say. 1 out of 10. Hugely disappointed. I was eager to watch this movie and had high hopes because of the high ratings, but clearly the ratings were false because this is one of the stupidest movies I have ever watched.
They have not seen Tarot.
Yeah. All it is a psycho chick who kills her family and hates them, feeds them to her alligator, then talks for like half an hour explaining how messed up in the head she is and how deranged she is, then kills people.
Hold up. That 7-minute monologue is my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, yeah. That was so good.
Go on.
Okay. Then kills people. I was waiting and hoping for something exciting to happen, but nothing good happens. It's only a delusional chick who thinks she can dance. The whole entire film is just ridiculous and doesn't make a lot of sense. There is no storyline here, and the ending was just absolutely ridiculous and stupid. The whole movie is a waste of time. Don't believe the positive reviews, as it was clearly posted by people in the production to try and up their ratings. Skip this movie. Total disappointment. This movie stinks big time. I will never give A24 another chance, as all of their movies are stupid, disappointing, and have the stupidest, laziest endings I have ever seen.
Well, that's not true.
Whoa.
Like,
okay, so that's not just against this movie, that's against A24
which
as
is
a whole.
fucking weird.
So here's the thing. I'm wondering if this person had seen X.
I'm assuming not.
Because, like, I'm wondering, because, like, they are saying that all of the A24 films they've seen have, like, lazy, boring endings. I don't think X does. Not going to spoil that. Also, Get Out does not have not Get Out. Sorry, Get Out's not A24. Talk to Me does not have a lazy ending, boring ending.
I can't think of.
I get their frustration with this film because Steph was blue-balled at the end of this film, literally exclaiming, going like, "What? Are you fucking serious?"
Yeah, that was me at the end of this movie. That is true. It is true. Yeah, I'm like recalling all of my A24 endings of movies, and most of them I think end extremely well. I liked the endings of them, especially the end of X. I thought was done extremely well. This movie, I agree with them in the ending. I fucking hated the ending of this movie, and I was just angry about it. And then Nick spent like 20 minutes explaining to me why it makes sense, and I was like,
not why it makes sense to me.
To you,
I wasn't mansplaining.
No, but like why he thought it was logical as to why it ended the way it did. And I can appreciate that mindset of like, he's just like knowing I'm pissed and he's like, well, this is why. And I'm like, I get that. That doesn't change my feelings on why this is fucking bullshit.
Right.
And so like, that was my feelings of the end of the movie. And I can't think of a movie that I've watched any time in the recent time where I felt that way, other than like when we watched 1408 and we're like, we all watched different endings. That was fucking weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I haven't had that feeling. So, I mean, I don't know if that lends to like the quality of the movie and was good and I didn't want it to end, or if it was just because it didn't fill in the blanks that I needed it to. I don't know. So
that's how we'll get into it, but that's how I look at it for you, is that because like, I was like, I think you just want a television series of this. Like you just want to stay with Pearl and everything.
I just want to know more. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm lacking something. Yeah. I want to know more. I need to be more submersed, and I didn't get that. And I think that was what was disappointing to me. So,
like, I still have questions after the movie that I had going into it, hoping that they would get filled.
And that's what we're going to talk about. See if we can help each other, really
figure something out.
Really, like, I mean, like,
understand.
Appreciate it or depreciate it, like, just kind of like see everybody else's view. So let's hear that 10 out of 10.
Sure. Mia Goth deserves to win an award for her phenomenal performance as the psychotic Pearl. 3 exclamation
I legit
points.
said that during the monologue at the end. I was like, how did she not fucking win some shit for this? Like, this is crazy.
She's an amazing actress.
She is.
We just gotta
James.
If you already didn't
James.
know.
And if you want to know that reference, go listen to our Infinity Pool episode. We cover a lot of Mia Goth.
We do,
because she's so good.
She's our patron saint of Pod of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of them. And Florence Pugh is up there too. Yeah. Anyway. Wow. This was a really good horror movie. It definitely deserves to win an award, especially after seeing Mia Goth's performance as Pearl, an unstable woman who is sheltered on a farm with her domineering mother and invalid father. Her husband is overseas fighting in World War I, and she aspires to be a famous dancer/actress. The movie is such an interesting case study, and Goth is great to watch. It's intriguing to see what Pearl will do at any given minute. 1 minute, she's quirky and cute, talking to farm animals. The next minute, she's making out with a scarecrow.
Oh, she's not just making out with it.
I thought that whole time it was a real face. I don't know if either of you did, but I was just waiting for those eyes to pop up.
That's what I expected, and then they did the jump cut to the guy, and I was just like, oh, okay.
The actual face. Yeah. The next minute, she's making out with a scarecrow. Then she could be yelling at someone and looks like she's about to kill them. It's like the female version of the Joker. Yeah, I can see that. And Taxi Driver, set in the 1900s. 60 years before the events of X, we meet Pearl, a woman who aspires to be great and become famous, but she's trapped at her parents' boring farmhouse. She makes friends with the projectionist at the local theater who promises to take her away to Europe. Her sister-in-law, Mitzi, tells her about a dance competition at church, and she's determined to win. This is starting to just sound like a synopsis.
Yeah, it does.
That's why we put it after the spoilers, because sometimes these go hard, and I don't want to ruin anybody's time. As
time goes on, she slowly descends further into madness and won't let anyone get in her way of her dreams. If you love period horror films and psychotic women, I would highly recommend Pearl.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that kind of covers it realistically.
There are a lot of similarities to her in this movie and her in Infinity Pool. I didn't draw that comparison until you did the Jay.
Yeah, like
that, like bubbly, like quirky yet unhinged.
Oh yeah,
woman.
she said that like a lot of her characters and stuff that she plays are just parts of her just amplified to like a million. Like she takes what's inside her and just goes. So like talking about that monologue, I looked it up. I'm not about to fucking read this thing. And I was going to send it to you girls in the chat, but it said it was too long to send it into the chat. But this motherfucking thing is insanely long. And that scene, like I said, took something like 7. I've got it here if I can bring up my notes. The monologue goes on for 7 minutes and 57 seconds. It consists of 17 shots, and the last shot goes for 5.5 minutes. It's so chilling because you watch this insane person go through this emotional roller coaster of just letting their inner being actually be seen, like knowingly be seen for the first time. Mm-hmm. And it's insane. Like, there are certain things in that monologue too that like you can relate to, like of feeling like left out or wanting to be like everybody else, you know, like, why do you have it so easy and I have it so hard and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like that monologue, I'm trying to think of anything else we've covered in this show, but that monologue is probably the best bit of dialogue that we've, in my opinion, that we have come across in our podcast, because I was just like, I could watch this monologue fucking like 10 times. This is so fucking good. But
even better than Jeremiah's monologues from last week.
I would say so, because like his monologues are just like, they're really, really, really good, but they're also like 30 seconds, maybe a minute.
I see. The length of this
and like that it just keeps ratcheting. Like watching her like, Howard, I miss you and all this stuff, and I really fucked up and da 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 da, and just it's, oh god, it's so fucking good.
See, that's the difference between me and this. Like, I appreciated it and I liked it, but that's not what sold it to me. Like, I'm not a big monologue person in terms of that kind of stuff. Like, I can understand like the emotive part and like what she's explaining and the horrors, like you're getting the peek behind the veil basically. But to me, it just read as like just staring at somebody, like what the person in the 1-star review was like, we're just staring at somebody talking to a screen for 7 minutes. Yeah. The best thing about this movie for me personally, it was like, and I'm trying to recall, you don't get necessarily this in-depth of a viewpoint on the starting of somebody becoming and lapsing and like falling into madness, essentially, as it like, usually you get like the victim's perspectives. You're getting the bad guy's perspective, but why they become the bad guy. And I always find that fascinating in any movie that you see, whether that's a horror movie or something else. It's because you don't normally they focus on the victims because they want you to feel sorry for them. In this case, you're definitely getting an insight into this person's craziness, and you just get to hang out with that crazy person for 2 hours basically. Yeah. And it's different in that way. And you have empathy for them. And I think that's why they probably don't do that in a lot of movies, because they don't want you to have feelings and empathy for the bad guys, because that's not their intention. But reality is that everybody's human, regardless if you've been bad or you're good. That's same with her. Like, you can feel sorry for her while also be disgusted by the things that she does. Yeah.
And like, it's really, okay. So this film, I wouldn't say is like an amazing movie or anything like that, but goddamn, as a companion piece to X, like, to really, like, you watch X and it's like, you know, it's like it's an old lady slasher and like that's about it. You know, like you just kind of get that. But then to like really get, like, I think it was super ballsy of Ty West and Mia Goth and everything to just go balls deep and be like, you know, that like 80s slasher film, we're gonna fucking do Wizard of Oz, like, even to the point with like Dancing with a Scarecrow and like all that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. The riding on the fucking bike was like the like, yes, fucking, all that shit. Because like when she's like riding into town for the first time on that bike, I'm like, I'm gonna get your little dog too. Like that, I literally said that like as the film's going on, and then like researching it, it's like, yeah, that was intentional. I was like, never in a million years. Like, I thought I was just being a fucking douchebag, and it's like, oh, no, you caught that. Yeah. But like, yeah, just it's cool. I remember Steph saying something. She's like, I guess it's horror because there is like some murdery stuff and everything, but she's like, it doesn't play off as a horror film. Is that correct, Steph?
Yeah, I don't like when you think horror, like, yes, there's horror aspects to this movie, but the first half of this movie isn't really like that. It's just you getting to know the character. So like you're seeing the aspects of her like that are darkening, but like a part of it's also because her home life is so bleak and weird, and like she is kind of sequestered, and partially it's because they're dealing with the tail end of the Spanish flu, and so like they can't go and hang out with people, kind of like what we did, you know, and that's what makes it relatable is because we just got done with our own pandemic. And so, and she's stuck with her family. And then her mom is her mom's German in this. And her mom's like this ball busting bitch kind of, and is like, she's never supportive of, like, she's supportive of her daughter, but she's not like, caring and like in the standard way. She doesn't coddle her. She doesn't do anything like that. And she's never like, I don't even know how to describe it.
She doesn't want her to be weak is like the...
Yeah, she's not... She doesn't praise her. She's like, you have to be a hardened bitch, basically, in order to get through with this life, and you have to appreciate what you have and deal with it. Like, that's her mom's perspective, which is weird because it's kind of how I was raised in a weird way. But I can understand like that's perspective because her mom's like, well, if you don't and you're not like this, then look at what happens. You know, like they have to take care of their dad, and like, the whole dynamic there is fucked up, and so she has to live in this lifestyle forever without having really any friends or socialization. And I would imagine that that's like really lonely, and that's kind of the way the whole thing plays in this movie. Is like, I just want to be loved. I just want to be liked. I just want to get out of this fucking hellhole. And she has this like delusion in her head that she's built up, that she's this great dancer and she's this talent and she's these things. And part of her mind stuff is, in my opinion, now this is up for debate, because of where she's at and her lifestyle and how she was raised. So like, not all of this is necessarily just like she's crazy. She's become crazy because of all of those things. Yeah,
like
I agree with that.
Like, and it's like, you know, like you're talking about like empathizing with Pearl and stuff like that. Probably the saddest character in the film. Like, Pearl is a sad character, right? But Pearl's mother, like when they are at the dinner table and like have their like explosion and then the mom bursts into flames and everything, but the emotional like outlet of her talking about like, you know, did all this stuff, and I married this man, I married him to be his wife, not to be his mother, because now he's, you know, chair ridden and all this stuff, and just her just being that's basically that parent to child thing of like, you look at me like I'm some sort of monster, but like all this stuff that has led to this point has created me to be the way that I am, and I'm just trying to do the best for you in the way that I can understand. And Pearl wants nothing to do with that, because Pearl straight up just tells her, it's like, I just don't want to be you. And like,
but that's fair though.
It is, but it's one of those things that just like in the circumstances that her mother is in, you know, the fucking Spanish flu, the World War I's going on, which is in like dealing with Germany, and she's even like, I don't want to hear any more about dead Germans, because you know that they probably still have family over there and everything. It's really depressing. And like, yes, she's being a hard ass on her daughter that is at least 16, you'd think. She's married and everything, but it's one of those things of like, especially back then, if you're going to be here and everything, yes, your husband's at war, but you have to help. And her delusions of grandeur are causing more pressure on the mom, like nonstop, and she needs her help. You know, they're chopping wood and all this stuff, and it's Pearl's off fucking the projectionist like in town, like abusing morphine and everything.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think she wasn't not helping her mom. She was taking care of all the farm and stuff. So like, she was milking the cow and
killing the goose.
Killing the goose, yeah. And like, I mean, who hasn't wanted to kill a goose? So I mean, I'm just saying, they're little bastards sometimes.
I haven't wanted to kill a goose.
You know what?
Well, that's not what Pearl says, Tasha.
Have you wanted to kill a goose? If so, send us an email at podofthedead.
I don't know. I don't know if I have either, but I mean, Pearl says it's okay, so it's okay.
So whatever Pearl says is
sure.
Game. Oh,
sure.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna pack
come
up
on.
Wait, hold on. I married you, so that's okay. I'm not like, and Tasha, don't dye your hair blonde. You'll be okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh
yeah.
God, Steph, do you not like yourself?
Because I'm a blonde. I don't know. According to Pearl, I'm supposed to hate myself now. But yeah, I mean, I liked the alligator part in this, or that was funny. But like her part of me, I always side with the villain sometimes in movies. So like with her taking her dad onto the dock and was like gonna dump him in the water because he's such like, he's a burden on their family and on her mom. And she's trying to take that pain away. This was like right after her mom had like a meltdown, right? So she's like, fuck this. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to dump your ass with the alligator and feed you. And part of me was like, do it. I know that sounds horrible, but I'm like, it's going to make your guys' lives easier. It's going to make your mom's life easier. He probably doesn't want to live like this. And it's like, if you don't want to end him, which that doesn't end up being the case in the end, but dump him in with the alligator, give that alligator some food, and move on.
I would like the world to know that if I have become a burden and bedridden and stuff, don't feed me to a fucking alligator. You can kill me other ways. That is horrific.
It is, but she hasn't taken that step yet.
I know,
to, like,
but she wanted to. So
she did. But like, part of me was like, and that's what's really fucked up about this movie. It's like, I understand that perspective.
Sick. I cannot get sick.
Oh my God.
You will feed me to a fucking gator in a second.
Yeah, that's it, honey. No, but really, I felt bad for them because they were in this situation and the mom was just like broken down. And I felt like she was just trying to care about her mom and like be like, fine, this is our burden. Let's get rid of our burden.
I don't think it was that way. I think it was the easier of the two to kill first. I don't think it had anything to do with her mom because she had already kind of come to terms with the fact that like it's her parents that are holding her back. So she's just like, fine, I'll fucking start here and then deal with mom. Like that's how I got it. Like I didn't think she was doing it for her mom in any sort of way.
I saw it the way Steph did, where it's like, well, if I take the burden of dad away, then that's one, less work on mom, which in turn makes less work on me. Because if you notice, she's the one that's bathing him. She's the one that's feeding him. Like she doesn't get to do her own thing, even at the house, because she has to tend to her dad.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I think it piggybacks is because the mom was crying. And it was like her mom was having a meltdown. And it was like the next morning she comes out. She's like, fuck this shit. I'm tossing your ass in the water. And it's like part of me is like, well, that was considerate of her trying to help her mom and herself, even though that's the most fucked up thing. I mean, we're talking about a horror movie here, but you know, that's where you empathize with them because their situation is difficult. I mean, they probably didn't know that they could have like poisoned him more with his medication and he could have died that way or something else. Like that could have been an option. He got sick because of the flu and then like because of Spanish flu and he ends up like this. So like that in itself, like just watching your person, like she married him and like having to, you know, basically run a farm with him and then he gets sick with the flu and then he's no longer capable of helping with anything and he's just a burden on their family. You know, it's sad. Like, it's really, really sad. That's what makes this movie really bad. Like, in the sense of, like, just emotionally, it's just sad all the way around. Like, you feel bad for every single fucking character in this. Yeah. Even the fucking alligator who gets the damn fucking egg stolen and then she crushes it in her hand. I was like, girl, you got some problems. You need to work on yourself.
Well, it has to do with her, like, hatred of life. Like, it basically is her, like it's what's the way to put it, she doesn't want to be alive, basically, is how I look at it, but like she would never kill herself, so it's easier for her to kill other things to get that release.
I look at it as a power thing because they have more power than her, and so she's taking it away.
In her monologue, I just had it up, let me see here real quick. When she's talking about being pregnant, she says, how could you be so selfish and cruel after all I've done to make you happy? I was even pregnant with your baby. I never wanted to be a mother. I loathe the feeling of it growing inside me. I felt like sickness. It felt like sickness pulling and sucking on me like some needy animal in a barn. How could I be responsible for another life? Life terrifies me. It's harsh, bleak, and draining. I'm so relieved. I was so relieved when it died. It was one less weight keeping me trapped here. but then the war came and you left me too. So like there's that whole thing.
But that makes sense.
Where it's just like life, like she is just so torn down that just like the things dying around her give her some sort of like cathartic release in a way. Like I don't think it's so much of like a haha, I killed you per se.
I see it as like this is her way of, she hates her circumstance because she talked
100%.
previously in that monologue about like Howard was her way out.
Oh yeah.
So killing everything that's a part of this current life then makes that current life go away, keeping nothing in her path to then become who she wants to be.
And that
is how I read it. Not so much like she's like living vicariously through killing these people, but just like these are the people that are the reason she's in this circumstance. So if you off the people and the things that are causing her life to be this way, then her life would be better.
I would
100%.
I would agree with that if the alligator wasn't involved, because that has no bearing on her being held there or anything like that. Like the goose makes sense, you know, all that stuff. But the alligator thing is just, it's literally like, I can get my hands on this and I can kill it and everything. And it's one of those things of the escalation of she wants to kill her parents ultimately, and it escalates
and
to that.
And she's like experimenting with other things, because you see her like pinch her dad to see if there's a reaction, to strangle her dad to see like what happened. So it's like she's working up to do what she ultimately wants to do.
Well,
I look at it as like smashing power. So like an alligator egg is technically the embodiment of like what it could be is powerful, right? So she goes and she's like, I can crush this in my hand, which is also an egg, you know, or whatever. And she's like, I can kill this. And then she's working her, like Tasha said, she's working up the momentum to do the worst of the worst. And she can crush this powerful thing. She can crush her father or her mother or whatever. And the mother thing was actually an accident. So that wasn't even intentional.
Accident. It was a happy accident.
Yeah.
It's actually how a lot of like serial killers, like escalation killers, it ends up working. Because like, not to get all like investigational whatever, but like usually like serial killers, that it's usually sexually driven, you know, and it's sorry, trigger warning if this, you know, but it's usually rape that escalates into murder. And once it accidentally happens, then it just becomes a lot easier to do. And that's how...
What's a release?
Well, not necessarily. It's not an intentional release. It's usually like the after fact. Ooh, that wasn't so bad, you know?
I like it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That's what was her, too. Like, she didn't know if she was going to like it, and then it does. And then she gets that release of, like, endorphins or whatever she gets from killing somebody, and then that's what propels her to do more, essentially.
But like I'm going to completely argue my side again, going back to her monologue about how like I think it's a lot of like the self-loathing, like wanting to die because she can't get what she wants. It's that kind of thing. It's a very it's very childish in that sense, and this is not me like shit talking like suicidal ideation and all that stuff, but her, like in her monologue, she's like talking about like, I'm a failure, I'm not pretty or naturally pleasant or friendly, I'm not smart or funny or confident, I'm exactly what mom said I was, weak, and I don't know why. What did I do? Why wasn't my family like yours? I hate what it feels like to be me and not you. There's so like, and yes, like that fuels her fucking anger, but I think deep down it's one of those things where it's like she just wants it easy. Like that's the main thing. She wants it easy, and if she can't have it easy until she fucking figures it out after killing her parents, fails the dance audition, right? I'm not talking about that point. I'm talking about everything escalating. It's easier to kill something else than it is myself because I fucking hate it here and I don't want to be. So she's acting out, and then it just escalates to that happy accident where her mother dies. And then it becomes a lot easier to deal with these things. And she thinks that her parents are the ones that are holding her back. She's trapped on this farm. Howard was her way out. She's going to become a dancer. That blows up in her face. And it's literally it's not because she's a bad dancer or anything. They tell her that was great dancing. We have a lot of people like you in the troupe though. And you literally were just not born with what we want. We just wanted that all-American blue eyes blonde girl. straight up is her sister-in-law, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought it would have actually been better if her sister-in-law didn't get the part, because it doesn't matter. Like, they wanted you. Like, I didn't necessarily like that they went to that whole stint of like, you know, you can tell me that you got it or whatever. If she would have just hated her regardless because she is what they wanted, I would have liked that a little more. But
yeah, but then it wouldn't have given, like, it wouldn't have justified as much to the viewers for her killing her, I think. Like, because it would just been like, but she's just blonde hair and blue eyed, and to us it would be like, well, it's fine. Yeah,
she's the embodiment,
but it's like that. It's like that extra step of anger.
Yeah,
like,
no, I get that, but like, I don't think it was necessary. Like, it's one of for me, it felt like if the audience didn't catch it, it is like she did get the thing, but it's like it didn't need to be. She's already just completely unhinged and everything, and anything that is confirming that she's not quote unquote good enough, or to what she thinks she is, like her delusions of grandeur that she's going to be this thing. I am a star, you know, like the world will know my name, which is literally the same shit that Maxine says in X. They 100% are the same person. Yeah, it's interesting to see all of that.
Yeah, I just think she's killing her way through the people that are ruining her dreams. Basically, she kills the guy first because he gets creeped out by her and doesn't want to give her what she wants, and then she kills. He
said that he was going to take her to Europe and that she could star in these kind of films, which that was an actual film that was shot in 1915. Some people have argued that it was later, but that was an actual early pornographic film shot in France.
Well, the one thing I have to wonder about that with him and his intentions is, like, I honestly, I don't think his intention was ever to do anything nice for her. I think his intention was trying to sleep with her the entire time. It wasn't like he was portraying this good guy in order to, like, give her this false sense of security, and then so he can sleep with her and tell her all the right things. Then he takes her home because he feels bad, like it's the right thing to do, because in some way he's still mildly a gentleman, I guess. And then she's like really excited, like a lot of like younger impressionable people would be in that situation. And then he just rips the rug out from under her and she just loses her shit. Not that you should kill somebody over that, but like he literally is using her intentionally and playing with her brain, you know, her mind, and he gets what he gets because of that. Like, she loses her shit over it. And like, had he done that, he probably has done this to multiple people before, because that's kind of like the vibe that I was getting off of him.
He just jumps city to city, does what he wants, you know.
Yeah.
It has his casting couch. Like, was I the only one that noticed that? Like, when she comes in, it literally was like, you know, like a fucking porn casting couch, like, but it's just all shitty looking. And I was like, oh, this guy is like, even before he shows like the fucking the stag film and everything, he just like thin mustache, like all of this stuff. I was like, this dude's like a porn producer, but like in the teens.
Yeah, he's something. Like, he was charismatic, he was attractive, like he said all the right things. Like, that is something. He was preying on a younger girl, trying to get her to, you know, woo her back, you know, without her realizing what was really going on. She was just following her dreams and somebody giving her attention, and it's really sad in that way. I mean, he still dies, but like
that is legitimately the Hollywood machine. Like, that is like, with the whole Weinstein stuff and all of that coming, you know, like, people have always talked about it, but it is very true that it's like, you know, you want to break into this is, you know, you might have to, you know, do a little something extra to get your dreams, you know. So
yeah, that's why there was a Me Too movement.
So would you girls categorize this film as a good for her film? Because I know that there's like some jokes about that where, like, you know, like Midsummer and stuff like that, where like at the end of the film, you're like, you know what, good for her. Like, and this is one of those films that kind of gets thrown into there. Would you consider this a good for her film?
I don't think so. I think it goes a little too far, where she's justifying killing, but it doesn't necessarily, I don't know. And I guess in Midsummer it doesn't necessarily need to happen that way either. But it just, like Steph said, like, her mom doesn't want to be her mom either. So Pearl doesn't want to be her mom, but her mom was just kind of dealt this hand and she's dealing with it. And I mean, Pearl even mentioned like that daddy didn't have to die that way.
Yeah.
Like
she feels actual remorse for her dad. That's the one.
Right. So this is a snapped movie in my mind. Like she's, like you guys have said, she's just ramping up more and more. And it's just watching somebody fall into psychosis.
See, and Steph wants a sequel to Pearl, basically. More Pearl in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. That's what she, because I'm not trying to speak for you. I'll just, she says that there's like too big of a gap between the two films, and she wants that. She wants the Howard Pearl relationship upward.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that was a question that I couldn't remember her husband's name from the first movie.
It's the same guy. Yeah, that's Howard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like
that was my big question. So I couldn't remember if that was the same relationship or if something happened between those two and then she just found somebody else.
No,
that would have sucked. That would have been fucking horrible. Like if that would
yeah, no, that's what bothered me about this movie was like I was like waiting for for her to come out to him and like tell her what's going on, and then him like doing basically from my perspective of him and X, and I don't want to spoil a bunch of things, but like he is the doting husband. He will do anything to give his wife what she wants. And you know, I wanted to see, and that's what I felt like was lacking in this movie, was at least some blip of that, of where we got to see where like he sacrifices, you know, whatever he does in order to give her or to save her or to protect her from, you know, possibly obviously the cops situation because she's murdering all these people, but also participating in killing the people for her, and like letting, because we know from the other movie, like some of the stuff that she gets into later on in life with these people, and like because of her whatever, and like I wanted to see that. Like, I thought we were getting a Pearl movie that was then going to give us at least a little bit of something with her husband and what we got to see in X, but it didn't. And that's where the ending is like so abrupt. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. I need something. And like, there is too much of a gap between 1918 and the 70s. Like, that's a lot of years of not knowing. Yeah. So
I like the ending in that case, now that I know that Howard is Howard, where it's kind of like, and the rest is history. Yep. Like, you guys know where this goes. It definitely
does, because like it even brings up like the end, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we bear witness to Pearl's deranged smile that carries through the end credits. That was unplanned, with Ty West refusing to call cut and letting the emotions play out. Mia Goth's smile becomes more strained. A tear falls down from her face. She even does an impatient head shake as she's waiting for him to call cut. So that was not, it was just like, let's just keep fucking going. Let's see what happens here. I do 100% sympathize with like the like I called it earlier, like the blue balls at the end of the film, because you literally exclaimed like, are you fucking serious? Like
yeah.
But
like the motherfucker just walks in and is like, the end, and I'm like, you son of a bitches, like give me something. He walks into a fucking kitchen with her parents' rotting bodies sitting there around the table, and like nothing, we don't get anything else. I'm like, this is the worst ending of any movie.
Well, here's my my view on it. So, you know, I kind of talked to you about it yesterday, and Tasha, this is going to be new to you and everything. So we can't really go so far into everything that happens and stuff, because they would just be kind of retreading what they already did in X.
I get that, but that doesn't mean I don't want to see it.
I understand, but I'm also telling Tasha. So I understand the point of not going like, okay, and this is why they love each other and all this stuff, right? You can also, though, play it off, considering it's during the flu and stuff, like they're dead. So like, what's to say she doesn't just play it off that like this happened, she's lost her mind, like it's because they died that she lost her mind. The only ones that are like fed to the gator are the ones that she couldn't really explain, which is his sister and the producer. So they're fucking just fed to the gator, and there's nothing to explain there. The two that are dead are the mom and the dad that are right there, the rotting food, all this stuff. And she definitely has lost her mind. So like, how far would it be to be like that they died of the flu? Because we're talking about the
him,
the teens,
or in general.
in general.
Well, the mom is burnt to shit with part of her scalp missing. I have a feeling that she can't play that off to Howard unless he's not very smart.
Over time, she's been rotting. Like, so like all of that stuff is kind of going away. Like, I think that it's a lot easier to fucking like hide that shit and everything. But then also I'd read that, you know, cause like your complaint or want and stuff is like, so this happens, how could Howard still love her and all this stuff, right?
I don't necessarily believe that. I mean, he's already devoted himself, like,
to this degree, though. Like, I mean,
apparently till death do you motherfucking part, because he's in fucking X.
She's pushing it. She's pushing it to its possible end. But no, like, is he facilitating and all this stuff? Not only because he loves her, but the fear of what will happen if he doesn't. So that's another bit of it, is like he loves her and stuff, but is it also self-preservation in a way?
I don't think so.
You don't believe?
He just
got back from war,
and he's from an affluent family. I don't believe that at all.
It doesn't matter. He so badly wants to live on the farm and everything. That's why she's stuck there and all this stuff. Like, he's not gonna, like, he has basically what they had kind of like alluded to and stuff is that his parents do not like the lifestyle that he decided to lead. Like, it's almost like that you're going to take over the family business kind of thing. He's like, I'm going to go shovel pig shit. And that's the life that he wants. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you know, her life, it gives for him what he wants. And he's completely in love with her. So like, there's obviously that aspect, but then also the fact of, you know, keeping all of that, like, it's a slippery slope. And like I was saying, like, if they just hide the bodies right there, you know, in for a penny, in for a dime, like, you're already there, you're already fucked. Like, what are you going to do? Turn her into the cops? She's going to kill you in the fucking middle of the night. Like, so.
I kind of see it as him just turning a blind eye for a while, and then who knows what happens between now and X. But exactly that, like, that. I feel like there's a lot to say with that, like, maniacal, like, unhinged smile of hers. Yeah. Like, there's some way that she twisted it, or there's some way that she can rationalize it. Well, and now they can live happily ever after without having dad and mom around. This is all yours. Yeah, and also that kind of thing. And he's just like, okay.
And also, we are taking it as we are seeing a reliable narrator at this point, which we have not seen a reliable narrator during a lot of these segments and stuff like that. So what's to say it is as it is, that we're seeing it as it is? Who knows? Like, that's, I don't know. Like,
I would like to think we are, since we're seeing the deterioration of the parents. Well, no. Like, we see the mess.
I'm saying, like, when we cut to her with the smile and everything, hey, honey, and all that stuff, that could just be, like, in her head. And, like, there's a whole other kind of thing going on and stuff where she's, like, you know, explaining this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But what we're seeing is her internal self straining to try and be this thing that Howard so badly needs and wants. So I kind of think that whether that makes for a good ending or not is debatable, but I think that that's a big thing. Cause like, even like during the dance and stuff, Steph and I were talking, like, she was like, are we actually going to see it? Or are they going to cut back? And I was like, I 100% believe that we are going to not see reality in this scene. Like, and I was right. Like, it cuts to, like, you know, the big cavalcade of explosions and stuff like that. And we're seeing what she is feeling. We're like no different than the dance in the cornfield and her having sex with it and everything. The scarecrow, that is. There's so much of that stuff that, like, as the film goes on, it's like, how much are we seeing that is real and stuff like that? So,
yeah.
But going to pushing the envelope and stuff, Natasha, how was this film when it came to the blood and gore for you?
A lot of it wasn't really memorable. So, what, didn't someone get, like, chopped apart?
Yeah, she chops apart
a little
his
gross.
Sister with an axe.
Yeah, when you see, like, the muscles in the legs and stuff, that was a little but it wasn't any.
Yeah, you gotta talk into the microphone.
Sorry, I moved away from the mic. I had an itch, so that was more important. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I guess. It was nowhere near a lot of
Midsummer.
movies
It was
we watched.
no more than Midsummer.
It was nowhere near head smashes in. It was okay. And I think it played with a lot. Like, there wasn't a ton in general. There wasn't a lot that happened throughout the whole movie. So it was
And that's
fine.
how I feel like where I made the comparison to like The Wizard of Oz, obviously, and stuff. But then like Psycho. Psycho is like mostly about just this like mentally deranged, like this, you know, the whole idea of like Psycho is like everybody goes a little crazy sometimes. Like it's that whole idea, you know?
Yeah.
And like the line that some people draw with this and Joker, I can see as well, where like there's like I'm trying to remember what it is. Maybe it's The Killing Joke. Whatever. There's a Batman comic that deals with like the Joker's origin and stuff, and it talks about like it only takes one bad day. Like that's all it really is. Like it's just like that fucking you're at the top of the cliff, and then it just takes the last thing, and that's basically what this film is. It's just like, and she's fucking had it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's like built up and it's finally exploded, and she's just tired of being the good girl. But she's not really been the good girl because Mama already kind of says that to us. But still, she decides to up her game, I guess, and her craziness. But
she's tired of just being like the farmhand and like the simple girl.
Yep.
She wants to be the city girl living the lavish life. She's tired of being just
which is really funny because in X the film that they're making and stuff is basically Pearl's life when she was younger, like even to the point of the bibs and everything that Mia got. Like it's literally like that. It's I didn't really
true.
So
yeah, it's weird. And then the scenes where like she's literally taking somebody's head off and cutting their arms apart and like in order to get rid of the body. I actually thought that was extremely cool in this movie because most of the time when we see that kind of stuff, it's like when it's in the moment, like it's just like we're cutting their head off or stabbing them in the face or whatever. But this is like intentionally like pulling a body apart in order to get rid of it. And the way that they did that in this movie was really successful, I thought, especially with the coloring and like just how well it looks so real. And I can appreciate that for what it is. And I obviously like movies that have gore and weird shit in it, obviously. But like there was something about this that was definitely, I will remember it, just like with the brushing of the hair and the scalp coming off and like just little things like that. And then like the uniqueness of like just shoving a pitchfork in this guy's chest, like all of that stuff. And then rolling his body into the water, his car into the water. Like I thought all of that was really cool because you don't get to see a lot of that stuff in movies.
Yeah, that scene like where she just like literally like pops up with the pitchfork is like I can't remember what she says, but it's basically like you're not gonna fucking leave me. Just whoop.
Yeah.
every time she kills somebody that isn't her parents. So the sister-in-law and the producer guy, the projectionist.
Yeah.
Both of those scenes are fucking great in my book because like her like just fucking just nonstop stabbing him, and then the scene where like the sister-in-law is like walking out and the way the camera is like with the horizon and Pearl's walking out and Steph's like, oh shit, she's grabbing the axe and then picks up the axe and just like that pursuit. I fucking love that shot. It is so fucking good.
Yep. And then it wasn't like the instantaneous kill thing. It wasn't with him either. It wasn't like, well, one and done. It was like she hit her and kept hitting her and like she wasn't getting good enough hits. And like then finally we get to the kill. And then it's the same thing with the guy. Like, yeah, she gets him, but it's like he's still alive. Like it was so like
not to give
interesting.
Not to give anything away from X, which I imagine you've seen X, but I'm not. But it's very reminiscent of the death in the headlights in X.
I don't think so.
Not the gratuity of it, but just the fact that it's like it's not just one and done. This is going to continue. Like it's
consumed time. Yeah.
So that.
But I feel like in Pearl, it was like not knowing how to do it, and then in X, it's doing it for the sake of doing it
for the release
of
it and everything.
Yeah,
right.
It was like literally in X, it was like she was getting pleasure, and in this one, it was more out of just like relief to get the pain away. It's like she's literally killing these people to release her pain, and like And in the other one, it's more sexually based, I think. So I think there's a difference in that. And maybe that's, that's another thing that we don't get to see because we just go from one movie to the next.
Correct.
So.
But like, it is interesting though, like how many of these things like are like relived like in X and Pearl. Like, so I'll just use the headlight scene, right? The headlight scene, you can literally like draw a line from the headlight scene to the scarecrow scene. There's very similar, like
100%.
All of that kind of stuff. That's what makes me like this film. I'm not going to say anything until we get into a review, but like there's a lot of that stuff. Like I was saying earlier, it's great as a companion piece. I don't know if this movie would work, if it works as a standalone. I would be very interested to...
I don't think so.
I'd be very interested for somebody to watch this first and then X and see what their take is on it, because I'm never going to have that. I did it the way they were released, so...
Maybe we should try this out on one of our children and be like, hey, you haven't seen X yet. I know you want to see it. Can you watch Pearl first and then tell us what your perspective is? And then what's seeing X secondary? Because then we can get a little bit of a different viewpoint. Because the only child of ours that I know, Kylie could do that and Maya could do that because Noelle's already seen X because we watched it with her. But like, I wonder if their perspective would definitely be different because you don't know, you can't pull back from frame of reference.
No.
So like you don't know what this character ever does. You don't know. So I guess it probably could be a good segue into that series, but you're going to get a more of appreciation, I think, for the character and their backstory if you had watched them like they were intended.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're going to be going pretty soon to go see Maxine in theaters. We're actually going to see it all together. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yay!
So we're going to get the full trilogy done. But
yay.
Unless you girls have anything else that you'd like to deep dive into, we can really just kind of get into our reviews.
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
Well, we're going to rate our reviews, right? So we're going to be guessing what everybody else is. You guys can guess mine first, and then because since I went last week, so and then I'll give you what mine is. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go, Tasha. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you must have looked down when she did it the first time because she did it, and I was like, okay, then stop for a second, and then you started talking. I was like, I'm literally over here like, no, time out. It'll be easier if you just stop for a second to edit. Yeah, once she threw up the timeout, I was like, she's got to go to the restroom. So
yeah.
What do I think Steph is going to give this? I think I got an idea.
I just got a message from Maya. I said, how are things going today? She said, I went to the trading post and got some small stuff. And right now we're at the mall. The McDonald's here is great. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, I think it came up on my computer, so it didn't say her name. It just said the number, but it said getting McDonald's poutine. So I think it was her.
Oh,
she was the one that I was
talking. It had to have been. Yeah. I'm glad they're having fun.
Poutine and Canadian.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep, it was Maya that said
that.
Okay. So we're going to rate Steph's. All right.
What do you think I'm going to rate it? I'm going to make sure I wrote it down.
Yep, I've got a number.
I did. Okay.
Do you have a number, Tasha? Okay. I'm going to say you're giving it a 5.75.
Okay.
I was thinking a 6.5.
Okay. What are you giving it, Steph?
I have 6.5
Oh,
down.
damn.
So Tasha wins.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right, that's better.
Yeah.
I only thought you were going to rate it lower because of your blue balls at the end.
Yeah, I mean, but overall, the movie was shot really well. I thought the acting was superb, and I thought it was beautiful. Did I love the narrative overall? Not a lot. Would I rewatch it? Maybe, but I also have to appreciate it for like just the acting in general, and like the way that it was put together was unique and it was entertaining. Like I didn't feel like it was a 2-hour movie. So like it definitely
wasn't. It was only 140 something.
Well, I mean, a longer movie. And so I wasn't like waiting for it to end, I guess. I thought it was interesting and I liked it, but I didn't love it. So yeah, 6.5 is pretty fair for me.
This is a movie though that you would have loved an extra 10 minutes of like, and this is what happened. Like almost like during the credits, seeing their life a little bit. Maybe.
Kind of.
Like a montage.
Yeah.
That would have done it for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
Sounds
What do you
good.
guys think?
I think you gave it a 7.
I'm going to guess a 6.25.
I'm giving it a 7.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah, Tasha's
you
really good today. Damn.
It would have.
Okay.
I'm so proud
It
of myself.
would have been a
You should be.
6.5 if it weren't for that monologue. That monologue is so.
Okay.
That monologue is a 10 out of 10. Like, so fucking good. I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head what I gave X. I want to say I gave X like an 8, somewhere in there. Because I do believe that X is the better of the two films when it comes to being a film. Like, just a sit there and watch. Like, I could rewatch X like any given time. This one I definitely have to be in the mood to watch. But yeah, Mia Goth, like, holy shit. Like, her performance in this movie, the mother's performance, what did I give it? What did I give X?
You gave it a 7.
Oh, okay. So I think they're basically similar.
Wow.
Yeah. So, they're different films, and you get different things out of them. Like, this is so much more of an emotional, like an anger piece, and I think it's more beautifully shot. I just think that X is a more exciting film because it's supposed to be. This is not meant to be X, just as much as Maxine is not meant to be either of these films. So yeah, 7. I think 7 is fair. I couldn't see myself giving it much more or much less. Like, I am going.
So you like them equally?
I guess so. I'm going,
but for different reasons.
100%. I am going to watch this again. I'm going to watch the special features because I would really like to see, hopefully, some like talk about that fucking monologue, because if that isn't shown in acting classes and stuff like that, I would be blown away, because like I said, that 7 minutes and 57 seconds is legit the movie in like, it's so fucking good.
Okay. I rated X an 8.
Okay.
So that was the separation. So I'll tell Tasha what hers was here in a minute when we're done.
I think I know what Tasha rated it.
This movie?
Yeah.
I'm going to say she rated it a 6.
I'm going to guess she rated it a 7 as well.
Okay.
I rated it a 5.
Oh my god!
Okay.
So, Steph, you were closer.
Yeah.
I'm fucking horrible at this game.
It had.
Now I know how it feels with the budget game.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it had a lot of good, but it also had a lot of not great. I came into this movie expecting it to be more like X. So I would say the first 40 minutes, I was waiting for something to happen, and not necessarily in a good way. Like, so Mia Goth is phenomenal. She's a great actress. I loved everything. Like, I mean, she's in like almost every scene. So that was really nice, but I didn't really care for like the going to the church and doing the dance stuff and all of that. Like, I understand there was a point to it, but it just felt like it was dragging on. I liked the last bit of it where like she is completely unhinged, but this is one that I probably won't watch again unless I'm showing like Pearl and X to somebody
Like
else.
featuring it.
Right. I loved the colors. That was definitely something I pointed out at the beginning too. Just like when she's in the barn with the animals, it seemed very Wizard of Oz, very like Charlotte's Webby. So I liked that, but that's not necessarily what I was looking for in this movie.
So
Where like in like Midsummer, if we want to do like a pretty gore like juxtaposition, I liked that backdrop with it because there was more intensity, there was more jarring than there was in Pearl.
I get that.
You rated.
I really liked the.
Go ahead.
Oh, what?
No, go ahead. I was just
I really liked the monologue. That was the best part, where
100%.
she's like just emoting without any expression on her face. So that was great. What did I rate X?
You rated it an 8.
Okay. Yeah, I think these are pretty. This is a good comparison in rating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I liked that it was an origin story.
Yeah.
But
But at the end of the day, that's what we're given.
Yeah.
I literally. Okay, so this is I guess my thesis statement that I would like to. That's not right, but anyway, this is literally the question that matters to me. If you like X, should you watch Pearl?
think so.
I think you have.
If you
I
care
honestly
enough
think you
about the
have
character.
to, because I can't
Yeah.
wait to watch X again now, having seen Pearl,
Yeah.
to see how much more I pick up on and shit like that. Like,
Because X is such a different, different storyline, knowing that it's the woman. And then you go, okay, how did she get here? And this gives you a little bit of that. And like seeing the things on her like vanity that have her name on it and stuff like that. So like, you know that there's a bit more to it. This movie, Pearl, you can definitely, when I say you can definitely tell, but it makes sense that it was made in 2 weeks via Zoom.
Well, holy shit. Well, there's so many. It just dawned on me. The fucking brush that she's brushing her mom's hair is the same one that she's using on herself in Pearl or in X. All of those little things. Like,
I was thinking it was the same farmhouse.
it 100%
It
is. It 100% is.
So it makes sense that it's all of the same stuff.
Cool little tidbit before we start getting into like our championing stuff and finding out our final grade. That house like got redone and everything. Like there are people that owned it and they made it look kind of shitty and stuff during X, and then like made it look all pretty. They last check, they have not changed the way it looks since Pearl was shot, because they liked how much
cool.
They made it look.
Oh, cool.
It's neat.
So what is
A little incentive to having your house as a stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, literally.
As a set piece.
so? What does that give us as our final score, Tasha? Oh my God! Get on the game.
Wow, I don't know what I was.
Forgets?
I was so invested in guessing your guys' scores that I completely forgot to do my part. So we have a 7, 5.5, and a 6.5,
right? Steph, you give it a 6.5.
I did,
Okay.
yes.
Gives Pearl a 63.
Okay.
You'll more than likely like it. Like, I think that that's fair. Like, even Tasha giving it a 5.5 in my scale book, that's still like, I'd check it out again. It's not the worst film or anything. It does definitely have its shining moments.
I wasn't mad watching it like I have been in some other movies. There were bits where I was waiting for the movie to end.
I 100% though agree that this ending is not for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me, that is for sure.
Especially if you haven't seen X, you are going to be.
God, I can't.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
No,
Yeah.
I know. You would have to be like ready to watch them back to back if that's the case, because if not, you were just no. Yeah.
Well, here's a question that I haven't asked. Tasha, do you think that Mom would like these movies, X and Pearl? Like,
I think so.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to double feature them with her sometime. Just fucking ruin her Saturday.
I don't know if I feel comfortable watching them with her.
I'm just gonna watch her watching them. I do that a lot. Just like stare at her like, But no. So, you girls got anything you want to champion?
I do.
Right.
Okay, what do you got?
I started watching The House of the Dragon. I
Yes.
have seen 0 Game of Thrones, but this had dragons and queens, and I was sold. So I still don't know much about the other one, Game of Thrones.
You don't have to.
But I like that, and that's what I heard. I Googled it just to make sure, because House of the Dragon looks so cool. I wanted to make sure that I was good. I don't know if Game of Thrones follows more houses, but I really like that this
all
follows
the houses, all
just,
of them.
just the one house, and you're getting like a condensed version.
I couldn't watch Game of Thrones. Like, I watched like the first season and a half because it's so wide in scope that.
That's what always turned me off on
House
it.
of Dragon, though, we're in the second season now that it's.
Oh, yeah?
Like, we watched the first season as it released. So, it's fucking
cool.
great.
I'm at where she just married. Where what's her face?
The Allison.
Princess.
Allison.
No, not Allison.
Oh, Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. Yes, Rhaenyra just married Laenor.
Okay.
And like the whole Daemon stuff is happening.
Okay.
All of that. I fucking love Matt Smith.
Oh my God, I know. He's one of the greatest characters in the show. I love that. It's like the house. So Game of Thrones is like 4 different houses basically, and they're all fighting for supremacy. But the people that are running King's Landing at that time is not obviously the Targaryens, and that's what they're trying to do. So I loved that show. I watched it all the way through, but it has a very disappointing ending, and it is while it's beautiful, it is
they focus a little bit too much on too many things, and so I didn't appreciate that. But when we started watching House of the Dragon, it's just Targaryens, which are the most exciting part of Game of Thrones, in my opinion. So you get the backstory. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. I love this show. It's so good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you're watching it. I'm glad. That's great.
I got it from I kind of got sucked in doing like Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I was like, I want castles and dragons.
Yeah, you get that a lot. Yeah, it gets better and better as it goes on. So
awesome.
Let us know how you feel after the season.
Oh shit!
I can only imagine. Like nothing. As soon as something good happens, something terrible happens. So I'm already prepared for something terrible to happen.
It's just all the time.
It's the way of the Middle Ages.
I went into House of the Dragon knowing how Game of Thrones works, and I think it was my friend Jordan, before I'd ever watched it or anything, basically said so Game of Thrones, anybody that you like, don't like them for long because they're gonna die. That's just how how this universe works. And I was like, okay, don't get attached to anybody.
Yeah, literally.
So knowing that you've seen all of Game of Thrones, when they're talking about the dagger and what is it, the Song of Ice and Fire, that's referenced in Game of Thrones, right? That's the name of that series, technically. Game of Thrones, I believe, is just the first book title. It's called The Song of Ice and Fire.
I think it's something like that.
So yeah. Okay, so the dagger is referencing the entirety of what's to come. Okay.
Yeah, so when they're in, I don't know if they do it in the season, they started in this, they're the whole idea of winter is coming. Winter comes in Game of Thrones. It doesn't come in this stuff. So it's weird that the span of time is so great and they're just consistently preparing for whatever's going to happen and just trying to keep power. It's so fucked up. The whole series is you have to just kind of go into it realizing you're going to have anxiety the whole time. So that's how I feel about it. It's so good, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
all right.
You got anything else?
That's really all. That's all consuming.
Okay.
That's all of the media I've been ingesting lately.
So I'm going to champion something, but I'm also going to come and also kind of note, which isn't a champion, it's the opposite of that. Yesterday, after we watched our movie for this week, we tried to watch... God. The Quiet Place 2. We attempted to watch that movie.
You attempted to watch it?
Yeah. We got about halfway through it.
I give it a 1 out of 10.
Oh, my. It was fucking horrible.
That's the worst horror film I've seen this year.
Yeah, it was...
More so than Tarot.
We couldn't even get through it.
I finished Tarot.
That's fair.
Yeah, so we got into it, and I watched I would say we probably watched maybe half of it, but the stupidity of these characters and the way that it was filmed and all the other pieces to it, the beginning had promise, and then it was because it was giving us the first day of what happens to that family when everything happens, and then it cuts to nowadays and after everything that happens in the first movie, and it was just fucking so stupid. And I was like, this is getting dumber and dumber and dumber. I'm gonna go see the new movie when it comes out, but I had high hopes because Wesley watched it and said he liked it, and so we were starting to watch it, and I shut it off because I was like, I cannot waste my time on this. It's so bad. So yeah, that was if you like A Quiet Place, I don't know if you're going to like A Quiet Place 2. This is shitty. I did not like it.
It's not memorable. I watched all of it, and all I can really remember is them being in a safe. Yeah. And that's really
it. Basically took all of my complaints in the first movie about how things are just too silent and things like that, and just amplified it. And I was just like, it's taking this whole thing and just making it completely unbelievable. It removes all the tension because nothing about this is believable.
Yes.
And it's trying to be emotional, and it's so fucking bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the first one was too. I'll never, you talk about trying to be emotional, John Krasinski's death scene is garbage.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So I was like, we shut that off. But yeah, what we're championing is, we went and saw, I am at least, there's a movie that's with Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, and I cannot remember the woman that's in the movie. But anyway, it's called Bike Riders. It just came out in the theater this week. Okay. It's literally the origin story of the 1%er motorcycle club. and it's based off interviews that were taken back in the 50s and early 60s that they placed into a book, and then that book is what they used to make the movie. It's basically it's the origin story of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club when they became one percenters. So they just used a fictional name called the Vandals in the movie, and we went and saw it. I wasn't sure. I did not know anything about the movie going in, other than it was a motorcycle club movie.
I knew less.
That had these people in it. Nick's like, I've never even seen it. I've never seen anything about it other than you telling me about it, only because I write motorcycle club romance books. So like, I was like, I have to watch this. Like, this is my thing. And sure enough, we went and saw it, and it was so good.
It was really good.
It was so good.
It was way better than I expected.
Yes, and it was
solid
definitely
7.
Yeah, I was gonna say I give about an 8. I thought it was so well shot, and it's based in Chicago, and like it's definitely got like that James Dean feel, and like
Austin Butler looks like James Dean in this movie so hard.
He does.
Austin Butler is.
He's the guy that played Elvis.
He's Fade Ralpha.
Oh,
he's
okay.
Fade Ralpha from fucking Dune 2, you uncultured swine.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen Dune 2, but I have, oddly enough, seen Elvis.
Yeah. He is a beautiful specimen of a human. And so that was great. And I love Tom Hardy. I think he's phenomenal as an actor, and I really like him. So he did a great job. He's the original president. And then we also got like a little snippet of Sonny in it, which is the person that brought Hell's Angels into fruition. So I thought that was really cool. And there was a lot of famous people in this movie, like that, like not like top A-listers, but like people you would recognize. So I was really excited about it, and I was scared that I was going to end up hating the movie, but I thought it was great. So I'm definitely championing Bike Raiders if nobody's ever heard of it.
What's his name? Norman Reedus? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's who plays Sonny. So he just shows up all rotten teeth on a bike, looking like he does. But yeah, it was actually pretty good. You girls kind of stole what I was going to say, because we watched House of the Dragon, and we watched the Bike Raiders. So I do always have something in my pocket though that I will champion. Okay. So
it's music.
Goddamn right it is.
I knew it.
We'll never have to worry about us stealing that from you.
No.
So mine, like, I'm champion. This is probably one of the most popular things that I'm championing and stuff. But even then, if you're listening to, what's on the radio, this is going to still be, new to you, whatever.
Okay.
Did you champion it to me in a text message last night?
No, I did not. No, motherfucking Pig Destroyer. Okay. All right.
I have no idea who this is.
So Pig Destroyer is a grindcore band. They started out in the 2000s. They have put out some fucking amazing albums. Scott Hall, their guitarist, is one of my leading influences in guitar playing and stuff like that. And I am finally going to get to see them in October. Bought my ticket to go see them and the Red Chord up in Detroit. I'm super stoked on that. If you have not heard Pig Destroyer, they have a wide range of styles, but it's all intense. I would say if you want to dip your toe into them, I would say listen to their most recent album. It's called Head Cage. Of course it is. By no means is it my favorite album.
Okay.
It is the most accessible album. If you want to hear what Nick's favorite albums are, go back and listen to their album Prowler in the Yard and their album Terrifier, which are some of the most intense grindcore, which grindcore is basically like really intense punk music played at its maximum speed. And it also has metal elements to it too. It's literally like old school Pig Destroyer was just a 3-piece. It was just guitars, drums, and a vocalist. That was it. As they got more, as they went on, they added a bass player and they added a noise musician. His name is Blake. I can't remember his last name, but he just passed away this past year. But they don't tour very often because Scott has like a big time government job. He's one of them guys, which I find is hilarious because their band name is a colloquialism for cop killer. So yeah, Pig Destroyer. If you like any of the shit that I fucking suggested over this when it comes to music for the most part, outside of the hip hop, and you haven't heard Pig Destroyer, give them a listen. They're dope as fuck, and yeah, I can't wait to finally get to see them. So that's what I've got to champion this week.
That's good. Okay.
All right, it is homework time.
Whew.
We actually don't have homework this week. I'm giving.
Yeah.
No, we have more homework. Actually.
Yes, we have more homework, but the listeners at home, I'm giving you guys a week off. You know, little summer break for you guys, right?
Okay.
We're gonna be getting into, it's like 4th of July territory and stuff. You may be going on a vacation. Maybe this would be the perfect time for you to actually have homework to watch or whatever. But we're not gonna blue ball you like Pearl might have done to you. Our homework this week is we are going to build as not necessarily a Mount Rushmore, but like what we believe are our 5 films that we would suggest to people that want to get a little deeper into horror. Not necessarily like what we like, you know, you've seen Scream, you've seen The Conjuring, but like what else do we personally think, you know, and most of these films might not have been covered on this. They might have been, but that's what we're going to do on our next episode. Our next episode is going to be a Gaiden episode. It's going to be the 3 of us really deep diving our own tastes and kind of throwing them at each other, giving each other recommendations, maybe the other person going like, no, that movie's fucking garbage, I hate that, but you think that people need to watch that, then that's because not everybody agrees with all 3 of us. You know, there are going to be Steph fans, there are going to be Tasha fans, there are no Nicholas fans.
Oh my God.
But that's what we're doing for next week, and then after that, we'll be giving out homework at the end of that episode for the following episode. Okay. So there's still that, but there's going to be no spoilers next week. So it'll be a completely open episode. We'll kind of give some little overviews of it, talk about why we like the films and stuff like that or whatever. But yeah, and then there will probably be like a little like honorable mentions. There might be some television shows thrown in there, maybe books, who fucking knows, but like it's all going to be horror tinged. So that's what we're doing next week. Gonna give you a little summer break, gonna still give you some content, but that's what we're doing for next week.
Okay.
So for Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.